Welcome. My name is Manuel Hahn. I'm a specialist solution architect at Red Hat, and today I want to show you a personal AI assistant for developers. There's also a blog article out. You can find the link below, and it basically shows a bit what AI assistants for developers are good for, how you can use them, what the issue is, namely that they usually do phone home, yeah, so they send their data from wherever the user is sitting to some other servers, processing the data there, which could be a potential problem. Therefore, this article explains a bit how you set up a personal AI assistant for developers in a private on-prem and air-gapped environment. And for the demo at hand, I'm not using actually an on-prem air-gapped environment. Again, the installation configuration is explained, also the details of what you need to think about when you are in air-gapped environment are inside the blog article. For the user, actually, it doesn't look different from when you are using it, and therefore I also didn't take all the effort to actually set up a dedicated air-gapped environment. So this is an OpenShift cluster I'm using in AWS with a GPU node so that the interaction with the AI is a bit faster. Important here is that the cluster and the AI assistant is not phoning home. So this is still true. Everything is inside the OpenShift cluster that I'm using, so no information is going out. Whenever you are in a private air-gapped on-prem environment, then it basically doesn't look different. The usage is actually then the same. Let's go into the demo then. Here you see the OpenShift Dev Spaces. If you are familiar with Visual Studio Code, then you feel already at home. This is Visual Studio Code. You see the main window, a terminal is opened at the bottom, and on the left you have the classical navigation bar with the code. This is currently empty, and then there's a new thing here. This is an extension, the continue extension, which provides an interface to the local large language model that I'm using here. By the way, I'm using CodeYama. There are multiple large language models and also open local LLMs explained in the blog article. Here I'm using CodeYama with 13 billion parameters simply because I liked it the most. This is a general recommendation if you play around with that. Also with GPT-4, for example, from OpenAI, then you will find huge differences also depending on the programming language you are using. So you simply need to try out what fits your needs most. I feel quite happy with CodeYama doing the programming demo now in Python. One thing I need to say is that I'm using a OpenShift cluster with a GPU node where the workspace and also the large language model is running on, simply because it saves you a lot of time. I tried it also before with the CPU, but then it takes some seconds until you get replies and it doesn't really feel fluent. So for testing, it's okay. Now for the demo, and if you're later using it, I would surely recommend a GPU also being available to you. This is a simple 5 minutes installation in OpenShift with the NVIDIA GPU operator so that it is available, and you can also share your GPUs so that you don't need one GPU really for one developer. And yes, this is a thing I would for sure recommend. Okay, then let's go to the continue prompt and ask, hello, who are you? Tells me I'm Yama, which is nice because we're actually using the CodeYama model with 13 billion parameters as is shown below. So this is running entirely inside the OpenShift cluster. All right, so let's start. Write code that validates a date to be of proper format. Let's see what we get. Okay, this is unfortunately not what we like, which is also okay because I wanted to do this in Python. I didn't provide any context, therefore it's fine, it cannot know. I say, okay, do this in Python, and it returns to me a function with the datetime object. When I did this test before, just writing me a code that validates a given string to be a proper form, a proper date, it also gave me an option with regular expressions, which is of course not so nice. So I needed to explicitly ask for the datetime version. So I will just keep that. Create a new file, validate date.py, paste the text. Okay. Let's say here I also got some example usage, which is nice. Let's just copy it there and execute it. It tells me one time true, one time false. All right. Next, having this example usage is fine, but I want to have a proper test suite. Therefore, I just mark everything, press Shift Command M, so that the continue extension now gets the proper context in the file, line 1 to 10. And I say write tests. And it tells me, okay, sure. And it uses here the unit test framework in Python, which is kind of nice. Imports the datetime and yeah, gives certain tests for valid dates and invalid dates, which are here, for example, 32nd of January. Mm. Okay, let's take that one, create a new file, test validate date.py, and I just copy this here and execute it. Python, and I call the unit tests, and it tells me, okay, 2 out of 2 have a problem. And tell the continue extension, okay, validate date is not defined. Let's see if it finds out what the problem is. We have not defined yet a validate function in this file, which is true because I have a separate file, different module of file. Yes, this is true. I am using the validate date function in another file. How to continue. So actually I want to get the import command. So I need to import it, and it tells me how to do that. Well, that's perfectly fine. From /project validate import validate, I execute the unit tests again, and I see, okay, this is the path. I want to have it here. Execute it and see, okay, Python unit tests ran 2 tests and it's okay. So that's an example how you could quickly set up something, start with something from scratch, and actually then get some code and get some unit tests. Okay, let's start with something else. I will close the files here, create a new session, and ask something like write a code that finds all nearest neighbors within a given radius, a typical task needed when you do some computational engineering. Okay. This was also clear because I didn't provide any context here. Then let's do this somehow else. Let's say nearest neighbor.py. I call the function. So this is as then the extension.py, and I create the context for continue by pressing Shift Command and M, and I say the same. Write a code that finds all the nearest neighbors. Let's see what it does. This edit thing tells the AI assistant to directly basically write into the file. It then provides this div here. If you make it a bit bigger, you also see, okay, it was empty before, and here you get some, yeah, some functionality. Let's just take it as it is, accept the changes. It also tells me about nearest neighbors and things like that. Give some example usage by providing the context again. Okay, this is for sure some more advanced example. Let's look at it. In a higher dimensional data set, okay, that's fine. So it provides multiple ways of actually then testing its usage. If it makes sense or not really depends on your use case, on what is actually written here. I'm not now going to check exactly what it does. What is obvious, it uses NumPy and doesn't import it, which you need then to ask, okay, it's not working. And again, it's sometimes it's working better, sometimes it's working worse. This is something that you get to somehow accept. Yeah. So you need also to experiment with the different available models, what suits you best, and find your way here. For us, it's not now important to get a proper function. I just want to demo some things here, like context of this line. What is this code doing? And then it explains me, hopefully, that here is a linear algebra and a norm. So the Euclidean norm is here calculated. Let me see, nearest neighbors in a data set and the Euclidean distance, it's okay. So, I mean, this is again a simple example, but if you have a complicated code, you can just select the lines you want and then ask, is the code doing fine? What is it doing? Is it secure also? Things like that, which are kind of handy. The question now is, I would like to ask, how could the performance been improved? Let's see what it tells me. You have several ways of improving the performance. Parallelize the loop, okay. Different distance metric, okay. Hierarchical clustering algorithms, okay, means. So there are multiple ways, and it proposes, and you can also now tell it, okay, I want to have some spatial indexing algorithm. Can you propose one? And then it will give you the proper thing. It also here proposes GPU accelerated computing, which is fine. Let me show a code implementing spatial indexing. It doesn't matter now what this exactly is. It shall just show that it's also useful not only for finding, I don't know, the square root of a number, or if a given string is a proper date, but also for more complicated things. And here it uses sidekick in a proper implementation. With a specified radius, it produces some random numbers, and then gives a proper nearest neighbor. So those are, I mean, not looking exactly at the algorithm, it doesn't matter now, but you get something proposed. If you have questions, you can ask directly, but what about this line? Is it good or not? Or how can we improve it? Things like that. Does it work with GPUs, for example, a common topic? And then it will tell you, in this case, yes, the code can be optimized running GPUs with cube by our number. And then usually it also provides some example code, which you can then use. Yes. Okay, but again, it's not about the algorithm, it's about the possibilities you have using a AI assistant. Okay, next, let's write something or ask something more generic. Write a webshop application. And let's see what it gives us. Okay, there are certain modules that you need. A user interface, a backend server, database, payment gateway, things like that. It gives us an outline. Can you write some code? Sure. Here's an example in that case of the user interface with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which produces you or gives you already some output. You can also say, okay, I want to have it in Python. Give me a Flask server example, and then it will produce you the proper code. You can then adapt it and also start from the different modules. Then, okay, you have your UI. Then first develop your UI, things like that. Here's an example how you could style all those things. And this is again now cascading style sheets, but you can also do or ask questions about a Python web server that you want to have and different parts of the module. What did it also propose? What about the backend server, for example? What about the backend server? Can you provide an example in Python? Sure, here's an example. Then using Flask, which is a basic proxy web and application server in Python, which is kind of famous. Here also then using MariaDB for the connections. Okay, there's one route, the home directory, welcome to my web shop. You get some products, and it's not really about the exact implementation. It's just about that it can help you even with some general things like how to set this up, how to start, so that you get a framework basically where you can then implement the different models. I mean, here they are using directly SQL strings inside the code. The question is if you want to do that, but again, it's just an example. You could also ask about, is this secure? And when we talk about security, we had some SQL code here. Let's create a new session and ask a simple question. What is SQL injection? And it tells me where the attacker modify SQL input values. Okay, and it provides me already some example code. Let's see. Okay, select star from customers where name is and so on, where you can someone using a variable here for John Doe and then saying, okay, close the brackets, drop table where the customer's table is then gone. Okay, you could also then directly get some code in Python, for example, and then check it. Depending on which large language model you're using, it will resist in telling you something about possible hacks, because it tells you, okay, some ethical parameters are here that could happen. In that case, we get the information, which is also okay. For training purposes, let's ask how to prevent SQL injection. give me some code in Python. Okay, parameterized queries. And here again, it's using some code. It's using SQLite. Let's wait until it's done. Some ORM type thing with SQL Alchemy. So there are multiple ways of doing that, and it offers now two. If that's not the one you like, you can ask for a third, fourth, or whatever one. Let's see here, select everything from customers where name is a parameter, and this is then the value which is kind of safe in the sense that you cannot put a drop table behind. So you see, it's really capable of doing of helping in multiple ways. Also, if you say we have some security standards, are they fulfilled? You can ask it and then provide the information from the document to the AI assistant so that it answers your question based on this information. This concludes already the short demonstration of our personal AI assistant for developers, which is basically the large language model code Llama with 13 billion parameters, which is run directly inside the OpenShift cluster and then accessed inside OpenShift Dev Spaces as developer IDE using the Continue VS Code extension. For me personally, I like a lot this AI assistant since it really eases one's life with documentation, with tests and many other things. You need to take care of what is being output. As we also saw in the demonstration, some things made sense, some things certainly not, and you need to decide what is correct and what is not. If it's not the proper answer, you can also ask the AI assistant, please give me some other answer. Please focus on that. I don't like this. Please give me a new option, a new code, and usually also get what makes sense and what you like. You need to play around a bit with the different models. For me, I personally now liked Code Llama with 13 billion parameters a lot, but there are other models available also depending on the programming language you are using, and you need to experiment a bit on what you need and what makes sense in your situation. What is also interesting is that you can add your own documents to AI assistants and basically let the AI assistant answer questions based on the information you provide in the documents, which could be, for example, coding guidelines. You could ask the AI, does my code conform to the coding guidelines of our company? With that, I thank you for your attention, and I hope I was able to give you some insights into the topic of personal AI assistants for developers. Thanks a lot, and bye.